What's going on? Back again. We kind of made the decision that we're going to stick to using the original actual head. The other one we're going to save. We're going to work on slowly, see if we can get it cleaned up in case anything goes wrong with this, or in case we find somebody who might need it. So what we're going to start out doing here is we got to use our good old razor blades here and cut the bottom of this head off, or not the head, but the remaining of the old head gasket, to get that as smooth as possible so we can get the new one on where we won't have any restrictions, anything like that. So yeah, we already went ahead and removed all the rocker arms, so we don't have to worry about anything falling out while we kind of chip away at this thing. So we got the bottom of the head gasket taken off. Looks much better. On all this garbage is all the burnt residue that was on the bottom of the actual head. We were able to, chip off the actual head gasket itself. It's pretty much toasted. So be putting a new one on, and then at this point it's just kind of the exciting piece. We can put the new head gasket on, put the actual head back on the block. The other thing we need to do is, I don't know if you guys can see some of this garbage. I got to clean that off. Someone used some gasket maker to try to fill in some voids from the exhaust manifold. So I'm going to chip that off here, and then we will go ahead and get this sucker back on the block. So we have the head back on the block. It is torqued down. Right now we are lubing up the cams, putting them back in. Let's come back a little bit. There you go. Yeah, you look good. So, lubing these up. Next we'll put all this fun back on. Slowly get this sucker back together and still stick to our goal of getting this in there and it starting by Christmas. Still the plan. Alright, so we're ready to continue on with working on the rebuild of this engine. Today is, it's a brutally cold day. I think it's like 28 degrees right now. Got the heater going. I feel bad for the dog that I even bringing him in here. I don't want him outside, even though he's bundled up in this nice little jacket. Anyway, progress doesn't sleep or let cold affect him. So we're nicely along here. You can see. See if I don't screw this up. We got the actual gear. It's all timed up correctly. Everything's back in. Cleaned up exhaust side, and then we also have cleaned up our intake side. So at this point in time, we need to go ahead and put our intake manifold, clean up, redo all of our gaskets, all of that. So next piece, get it going. Alright, so it's the next day here. Yesterday we made some really good progress on the motor itself. So as you can see here, hold on. Got the entire intake throttle body back on. All the hoses, everything are actually intact. was able to get the water thermostat housing back on. Yeah, so showed you before, you know, everything's cam-wise, chain, timing is all back in. So we're making some good movement here. We did run into kind of a bigger snag. We knew initially that one of the threadings on the actual exhaust manifold elbow going down to the downpipe had a threaded bolt, or had a strip bolt on it, and another one snapped. So we knew we were either A, potentially looking we were going to have to replace that, or B, we were going to have to take a whiz wheel, cut it off, put new studs through. So while we're doing that, I figured, you know, hey, I might as well just take the whole turbo off, go ahead and start cleaning it up and replace the seals on it. Through that, I'll show you what happened, or not necessarily happened, what we discovered. So, I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't see that very well. Maybe if I'm moving the lighting a little bit better here. I don't know if you can see that in there. So, part of the actual shaft is broken. With that, part of the actual, I guess when it broke off, it damaged some of the blades. Not serious, they're not like super nicked or anything like that, but you can definitely see some scarring. And then, you know, while we were doing it, there's a little bit of side-to-side play, but the killer is there is in and out play. So, though it still gains boost and everything like that, when we pulled it out, it's going to go soon. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to look for a replacement turbo, or potentially looking to getting this rebuilt. I don't know anything about rebuilding turbos, anything at all. I don't even know anybody off the top of my head who does them. So what we're going to do is I'm starting to price out, you know, replacement turbos. Reached out to some local people that said they have some available, trying to check the condition of their turbos, what's going on with those, if they still have them available and how much they want for them, and also checking around, seeing what I can find as far as not drastically expensive replacements that'll pretty much just be a bolt-on. Through my research, you know, a lot of it, if I go any bigger, I'm going to have to start replacing, you know, oil lines, fuel injectors, potentially making sure that my fuel pump can keep up. Yeah, you're going down a whole nother road there. And you know, I'm not really looking to do that. I just kind of want to keep this as is. We'll go crazy a little bit later. I just want to get this car back up and running. So I'm kind of looking at that. There was, you know, Import Image, you know, always has good stuff on their website. So, you know, I've been kind of strolling around there. You know, there's always the unknown names, whether they're knockoffs or anything like that. Got to do some research on those. Maybe you can find a diamond in the rough. But, you know, kind of a serious damper on the initial timeline of getting this done. Originally it was Christmas. Not sure if that Christmas window is actually going to happen now. That gives me, let's see, what's today? Today is the, let's see, 14th, 15th, something like that. Yeah, no, 16th. Yeah, today's the 16th. So you're talking, you know, roughly 9 days to get this back together in the car and running. So obviously, you know, waiting for the valve cover to get finished to put back on the engine, then that piece will be done. And then for the most part, all we got to do then is put the transmission back on, we can put it back in, because the exhaust pieces we took off prior to pulling it out. So that's not a big deal. We have all that. Like I said, the car ain't going to go anywhere. We're not going to build any boosts. It's going to run wonky. ECU is going to be all weird if I don't have a good turbo. And if I use this one, it's either A, going to gain no boost at all and seize up, or B, I'm just going to shoot white smoke out of there, potentially shoot oil in my brand new clean bay, which definitely don't want to do. So it's kind of the standing point. I'm waiting to hear back from a couple of these people that I reached out to. Then we'll kind of see what happens there. But for the time being, We're going to continue painting the valve cover. Should have that done probably, next couple of days. Needs a few more coats. Get that done, get that back on, and then, we'll start putting the final pieces back on the engine so we can get it back in the car. So it's going to be a tight deadline, but we are going to shoot for having it done by Christmas still. We're not going to let push this back. I got plenty of other projects, I'm sure. Toyota, still sitting here. We got the E30, which is probably not going to be till summer before we dive into that, but you never know. So we need to get this stuff and keep pushing on forward. I have all the parts except for this turbo, so I'm gonna go inside, do a little more research, see what I can figure out. So nice little update. Just heard back from one of the guys I reached out to locally. He does have a T25 turbo to go on the SR. He says there is no shaft play, which is huge. So I'm going to be going up in that area later today to go pick that up, as long as it's what it's stated, but go to pick that up, getting it for super cheap. I think it's kind of one of them deals where he's parting his stuff out, he just wants to get rid of it, but it's going to save me quite a bit of money, so super stoked about that. But yeah, gonna go get that a little bit later, and we'll see if we can throw everything back together. So we're on the way to get the turbo. It's kind of funny, this guy I think is the same guy that I bought the Type X front end for the S13 from as well. Yeah, last time when I actually went and bought that from him, which was almost 3 years ago, when I bought that Type X piece from him, he said he was ripping out his SR to go 1J. So just shows that delay, that stuff like that can happen, and the expense that these builds can have on you. But yeah, it's a bit of ways away. It's about an hour drive from where I live, so making that nice haul up there to get all the part, or to get it from him, getting a good price on it, so it's worth the drive. Can't really complain. Another cool thing is I might have found the engine in which I want to do the E30 in. Originally, that was going to be my long-term project. I wasn't going to start it until probably summertime, because like I said, I wanted to get the 240 running, fidget with the all-track, and then, kind of go from there piece by piece, and all the fun stuff that comes up in the middle. Some of my buddies are working on stuff, help them out with things, so it gives me time before I get to that E30, because there's a lot of work going to that one. But I think I might have found the engine for it. It'll need a little work, but for the price, it's not one of them ones you can't really pass up. So we'll kind of go from there, but like I said, that one's a long time out. But yeah, we're making the long drive here. The guy claims there's no play in it, and he's for the price, I can make the drive up there. If it's as good like he says he is, I'll be stoked. I'll be saving myself a lot of money and have to go a different route. So yep, get that, and then get back, and hopefully we can throw that together. Okay, back in the garage, back from picking up that turbo. So at the time, it was dark and everything. Looked like it was in great shape for the most part. It had a little side-to-side play. Didn't seem like anything dramatic. So actually, back of the garage, kind of inspecting it here. So show what we can here for you. So it's a little dark in here. So there's a little side-to-side play there. After further diving into it, let's see if I can get you a good side visual. So if you look real closely, I think you can see it here. Look at all the wear on these fins. So with this side-to-side motion, let's see if I can see it with my big hands in the way. It's really just moving side to side here. This isn't going to work, unfortunately. Thankfully, it was only $100, so I got me another manifold, got me another elbow if I need it, but, you know, this isn't going to work. Those are all shredded. This turbo is just going to end up continuing to grind out with that side-to-side move. Now, back to the one originally, like, you can see on this where my blades are much more intact and much better off. However, I have play up and down in my turbo and side to side. So, meaning my turbo is pretty much about to go. So, $100 later, no farther along, unfortunately. So, back to the drawing board. So, it's been a pretty eventful week here. Got everything back together. Finally got the valve cover finished. Looks pretty good. Nice white with black lettering. It's got a nice shine to it. But found out turbo had a chip broken out of the shaft, which was causing it to go off balance, which was causing it to go off the edges. I went and bought one off somebody locally. Ended up being junk and had just as much, it had more wear on it. It didn't wiggle, but it must have been off balance or something, because when I took a very close look at it when I got back, it obviously had wear on the blade. So I'm going to try to see if I can get my money back on that one. Push comes to shove, I ended up having to order a new turbo, which sucks. But, you know, having a new one is going to assure me that I'm not getting some piece of junk. So waiting on that to come in, hoping that'll get in by Christmas. If so, we can stick to our timeline. If it doesn't come in by then, well, that's kind of out of my hands. So right now we're gonna, get this new head gasket, or excuse me, get the valve cover back on this week. We're gonna go ahead and pretty much put everything for the engine back together that we can. Clean up some of the piping, all that fun stuff. Get it back together as much as we can this week. Wait on those parts to come in. Once they come in, we'll throw it on. Hopefully get the engine in, Thursday or Friday. Saturday morning if it has to be. Like I said, before Christmas is the ultimate goal. We'll push for there, and then if not, we'll address it then. But if so, great. So stay tuned. Look for the next video. Kind of going on, doing everything I just discussed. Like, subscribe, comment. Some people might be interested. Go ahead and share the video. Get the word around. I'd appreciate it. Like I said, stay tuned, and we'll have a new one out for you.